Hello everyone and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name's Amanda and in today's video we are going to be doing a minimalist Christmas look. I really wanted to do something simple but so that we could also use a little bit of nail art and the new reflective top coat. So I really hope you all enjoy watching. Now I am going to start off by prepping my nails and I'm going to start off with the Sophia cuticle tool. I really love this cuticle tool because it's got a wider end and a narrower end, so I feel as though it really suits all size nail beds. So I start off by going in and pushing back any cuticle that's growing up the nail plate. This also really helps push back the living tissue that you don't want to remove from that nail plate as well, and just make sure that you're really exposing as much of the nail bed as possible. I'm then going to swap to the Helsinki cuticle tool and I'm going to use the angular end of this to really get down into the side walls, especially right in those little corners where you get stubborn, harder pieces of cuticle. They're a little bit more tricky to remove and you might not necessarily want to push them back. You might want to fully remove them from the nail plate. So that's why this tool really comes in handy for this, because it's angular as well. It just really helps get down into those grooves. Now I have been doing my nails quite regular, so I don't have a lot of prep to necessarily do. The longer you leave your nails between getting manicures done, you might find that the cuticles are a lot drier or a lot tougher, or if you've got a client who maybe doesn't regularly use cuticle oil, their cuticles can end up quite tough to remove. So that's where you want to make sure you've got your Milan cuticle nippers to hand as well. This you can use to get any of those little straggly bits of cuticle off the nail plate. Anything that needs nipping away, these do it effortlessly. Now I don't have too much of this to do because like I said, I've been doing my nails quite regular, which has meant they've been prepped quite regular, and I have been a bit better at using my cuticle oil regular as well. So the skin around the nails is a lot softer as well. Now when I have finished all of my prep, I like to come back in with the Sophia tool and just push everything back again. So again, this is going to push back everything that you're leaving behind. So that living tissue, it's pushing it back and exposing the nail plate. I'm then going to come in with the 180 grit side of my buffer and give the nails a very gentle etch. Because I've been doing my nails regular, I don't want to be over filing and over buffing them when it comes to etching, so I'm just using the 180 grit side just to simply remove the shine, and I'm doing this by using the buffer in different directions going over the entire surface of the nail. So you want to flip your buffer around just so that you're not constantly going over the nail, and that would end up buffing it to a bit of a shine. And then if you were doing this with a file, it would end up taking off some of the nail plate, which we definitely don't want. When it comes to etching, you simply want to be removing the shine of the nails. And I do differ this depending on, like if I haven't done my nails for a long time, I'll use my 180 grit file, but where I have been doing them more often, literally on a weekly basis it's been lately, I feel as though the buffer is a little bit more gentle. So this might be great for anybody who's also got quite weak or thin nails. It would be better to buff than to etch with your file. So again, when you're working on a different client, you really want to pay notice to these steps when you are doing your consultation. Once I have removed the shine from the nails, I'm going to come in with my primer and apply all the nails so that they're primed and ready to go for our base coat. And for base coat today, I'm going to be using the beautiful RB19. I don't know if I've used this colour on my own nails yet. This was one of the newer shades in the Rubber Colour Base collection, and it's a really pretty shade. It's quite a natural soft pink, but it's quite milky as well. So I feel as though it's really nice as a base for nail art, especially when you're wanting to do quite a natural minimalist look, and it gives off a little bit of a winter vibe to it as well. It's got a hint of peachy nude coming through, which I really like for when I'm working on my own nails. So I'm going to be using this for my base coat, and then I'm going to be doing a second coat of this, as I also want this to be used for my color coat as well. So this is why I love the Rubber Color Bases, because there's so many different pinks and nude shades to choose from. They're great for a natural looking set of nails, and then obviously because they are are the rubber base system, they've got the strengthening properties. So they're great for anyone with weak, brittle or damaged nails. So on the first coat, when I'm using this as a base coat, I like to really scrub it in to the natural nail plate. So you'll see that I've picked up a small amount of product and I'm really using a pressure with my brush so that the brush is really fanning out. We're only applying a small amount of product and it's really getting worked in to that prepped nail plate. You'll see that how I apply the second coat is quite different to how I apply my first coat. So once we've really worked that in to the nail plate, I like to then take my stripe liner brush and use this with a small amount of the rubber base coat on it to get right up close to that cuticle area, down those side walls. This is giving us a really neat application and giving us a lot more control over the product than what the bottle brush does, so that we can get really close to those cuticles without touching them. And then once I've done this, I switch back on the next nail to my bottle brush and we're going to finish off applying this. So as you can see, I'm keeping this really thin. Now if I was doing this as a base coat and then doing gel polish underneath, I might apply it ever so slightly thicker, but I always like to keep my base on the thinner side, because especially if you're doing nail art, it's very easy for your nails to end up looking quite thick and bulky when you're adding on layers. So you want to keep your base layer nice and thin. Although this is a thicker consistency product, you are still able to apply it nice and thin and still be able to get those strengthening properties that come in through. When I'm applying it as a color coat, I like to work with it in a similar way to adding on a overlay. So you can actually do what I'm going to be doing today, using this as an overlay, but then still come in with a gel polish color over the top. I would recommend that if you've got a client who's got quite weak damaged nails and they're wanting similar to what a builder gel overlay would give them. But the rubber base coat does work brilliant for this on shorter natural length nails as well, because you can still build up quite a natural looking apex with it as well. So once we've done our first coat of colour, we're going to pop this in to cure for 30 seconds, and in one coat this looks quite natural. It does have a little bit more opacity that's going to come through when we are applying that second coat. So when it comes to applying the second coat, I've wiped off one side of the brush and I'm positioning that gel so it's on the lower half of the bottom part of the other side of the brush. And then as you can see, I'm kind of using a floating technique. So I'm using quite a light stroke. I'm not applying as much pressure as what we did on that first coat of base. Now I'm still applying some pressure because obviously I need the product to release from the brush onto the nail, but I'm not working it into that layer that's down. I'm floating it on so that we can build up a little bit of thickness, build up that nice natural looking apex. I keep going to call it an opex for some unknown reason, but we want to build up that nice natural apex to the nail. And then I want to add just a little bit of thickness and structure to these, because I prefer how my nails feel when I have that little bit of thickness on the nails. I feel as though I'm quite hard on my nails. They have been quite damaged in the past. I've always had quite thin nails naturally anyway, so having that little bit of thickness on them really makes them feel strong, and I don't have to worry about any breakages, any chipping or any issues like that. Again, when I'm applying the second coat of colour, I'm using my stripe liner brush to get this nice and close up to the cuticle and sidewalls area, but I do apply a little bit more product to that stripe liner brush than what I did on the first coat, so that we're building up the thickness evenly, if that makes sense. If you do feel as though you're applying this too thickly, then you can obviously take less product when you're going to be applying it. So if you feel as though you're coming in and you're getting quite a thick gel application, wipe off some of that product, whether it be onto a lint-free pad or use a brush to remove it from your bottle brush, so that you've got ultimate control over the product. I always find it better to go in with less product on my brush than I think I need. That way, if I need to add more, I can go back into the bottle and add more. It's a lot harder to control the product if you've got a lot on your bottle brush. So I like to go in, like I said, with less, float it over on that second coat, and it's going to give us a nice structured manicure. And then on my little finger, I really struggle to get close to the cuticle line with the bottle brush, so I will take a lot more product on my stripe liner brush and make sure I'm filling in that area with the stripe liner brush. I did cap the second coat as well, because I'm not going to be putting a color coat over the top of this, so I wanted to make sure those tips were nicely sealed in as well, because this is, again, if you're hard on your nails, this this is going to help minimize any chipping. Now we're going to move on to our nail art, and I have got the Festive Florals water decal sheet here. I will double check that's the correct name and leave it linked in the description box below. But these florals are absolutely beautiful looking. I love that there's a mix of green and red, and I feel as though they're going to look really pretty over that RB18 base. So what I'm going to do is I've cut these out as close to the image as possible, and I've cut out enough for all 4 of my nails. I did do my thumbnail off camera, but I will show you guys it. So I've cut these out, and I'm going to be applying them using the stamper method. So you do need a clear jelly style stamper for this. You're going to place your image face or image down onto the stamper head, and then just take some room temperature water and either your angled nail art brush or your round nail art brush and brush that water onto the backing paper. I also like to have the Kiki London Silicone Tool to hand as well. Then what we're going to do is once that water has soaked in, we're going to slide off that backing paper and stamp effectively this down onto our nail. Then I'm going to take my silicone tool and start squeegeeing out any excess water and making sure that this decal has made really good contact with the nail. Then with this particular image, it was a little bit too big for where I wanted to place it, so I've taken my K&S cuticle scissors. I believe these are the Lisbon ones. So I've taken these and I've just snipped off the excess. Now these are brilliant for this, especially when you're cutting any kind of nail art that's close to the cuticle area. So you want to make sure that you're going to be able to fully seal in that water decal, so you want to make sure there's no excess image hanging off the edge. You can either do this with scissors like I did there, or your file depending on where it is, or you can also melt off any excess decal with some acetone as well, but you do need to be careful when doing this that you don't remove more of the decal than you want to. So I do find it good to do it with one of the pairs of the K&S scissors. Either ones will work well. Then we're just working through and doing this on the rest of the nails. Now I find this technique of applying water decals works brilliantly if you are applying them over a gel that leaves behind a tacky inhibition layer. So the rubber bases leave behind a tacky layer after curing them, the same as all of your gel polish shades, and I find that that really helps grab hold of your water decal. And then when you're doing this step where you're squeegeeing out the water, you're also getting out any creases, and then if you've got that tacky inhibition layer underneath, as you squeeze out those creases, it really grabs on to that tacky layer and gives you a super seamless look to your water decals. If I've not got a tacky layer underneath, say for example I've done a builder gel set or a sculpting gel set and I've filed and buffed the nail, then I prefer to add them on the traditional way, because if they haven't got that tacky layer to grab onto, they tend not to release from the stamper. So I will instead do the traditional way, which is soaking your decals in a little bowl of water and then using some tweezers to take them from the bowl onto the nail. Here I really love the silicone tool for getting out any creases. It's firm enough that you can really give the nails a good rub, and it's going to get out those creases, but it's gentle enough that it's not going to tear the water decals. So once I had applied my decals to all of the nails, I wanted to go for a matte and glossy effect on these nails. So I'm going to come in with the Kiki London No White Matte Top Coat, and I'm going to apply this to all of the nails. This is going to seal in our water decals, and then because it's a matte top coat, it's going to give us a really soft velvet matte finish. But I did mention at the start of the video, I wanted to use the new Reflective glitter top coat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to top coat all of the nails with a matte, and then once we've cured this, I'm going to come over the top just on the tip areas with our reflective top coat, and I'm going to blend this back. And this was a little bit of an experiment, and it might not be for everyone, but I quite liked how it looked. It looked a little bit different, and I do love a matte and glossy combo. So let me know in the comments below what you thought. But for now, we're curing our matte top coat, and this is what the nails look like. Of course, you could leave them like this. I find matte looks beautiful if you want to create a really minimalist look, because it tones down the brightness of any nail art that you apply to the nail. So once we had finished with the matte top coat, I'm going to switch to the reflective top coat. If you haven't yet seen the reflective top coat, I will leave a link to the launch video in the description box below, as we did swatch it over a few colours in that video, and then I did use it on my own nails as well. But what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to apply this to the tips of my nail, capping over the edge of that tip as well, and then taking my ombre brush, I'm going to blend this back. Now, because these are reflective glitter particles set in a clear gel, you are going to ever so slightly see areas where just the clear gel is. So I'm going to blend that out using a little bit of acetone on my angled nail art brush once I've blended back with my ombre brush. So to start off with, I'm just focusing on getting those reflective sparkles down on the tip of the nail. I don't want to blend this too far back. I didn't really want to go over any of the images. I kind of wanted to leave those matte, and this gives off a very snow falling look, which I thought was really, really pretty, especially with these festive floral decals. So I'm just going to do this on all of the nails. I did do the thumbnail differently. I decided on the thumbnail, I used one of the larger decals from this pack. So I decided, rather than ombre over the tip, to do a full nail of the reflective glitter, and it did look super pretty. But I do feel as though the reflective glitter, if you do a full nail of it over any kind of water decal, especially because they're quite soft, it covers them up a little bit too much. So I did love this ombre effect with it, and it was nice to try something a little bit different. So here is where I'm coming in with the angled nail art brush, and I'm just using a little bit of alcohol here just to blend out the edges where we've blended that top coat down with our ombre brush. This stops it looking quite jaggedy and harsh. I then popped this in to cure for 60 seconds, and I loved how pretty it looked. I loved that matte and glossy combo. So there you can see my thumb, and then this is what the nails will look like with my filming light turned down and the flash on, because this way it really picks up those reflective sparkles. And I just loved how this set turned out. So before I finished off, I do then come in with a little bit of the fresh rose cuticle oil. Your cuticle oil is so important this time of year. With the weather getting colder, it tends to dry out the skin, and especially the cuticles as well. So if you have been missing using it, take this as your reminder that you should be applying it twice daily. I then am going to take a little pump of the Woody Rose K&S hand lotion. Whether you are a nail tech or not, this hand lotion is a must have. I would recommend buying a bottle for anybody you love, especially for Christmas. It would make a really lovely Christmas gift because it smells amazing and it leaves your skin feeling so soft instantly. So it gives that really instant boost, but then if you use it on a regular basis, your skin feels so soft and hydrated. I absolutely love it. So I have left a few pictures of the finished result. If you did enjoy today's video, please do give it a thumbs up, leave us a comment below, and if you're not already subscribed to the Kiki channel, please do consider hitting that subscription button, and I shall see you all again next Friday. Thank you all so much for watching. Lots of love. Bye bye.